Hey, what's up, world, and welcome to episode 141 of the Take One Podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones, and today we're going to be talking about just a few things or whatever. It won't be a too long of an episode, but I'm going to be talking about the new trailer to the Train to Busan sequel, Peninsula, as well as I'm going to be talking about what's new to rent on the stream, as well as giving a review to Little Women, and I'm going to be talking about the 5-year period used in Avengers Endgame. Will Marvel use it, or will they just disregard it and go on about their merry way? So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about the first topic, which is the first trailer to the sequel to Train to Busan called Peninsula. Now, I believe I'm pronouncing it right. If I'm not, you can correct me, but so this is the sequel, like I said, to Train Busan, and I haven't seen this movie as far as Train to Busan. I have not seen it yet. I got it on my list to watch, so I don't know if I'm gonna watch it during this quarantine period to where like I'm not working, which would be a great time to watch it. But in any case, talking about this trailer looked pretty damn good. It really did. It kind of looks like if you blended, I guess you could say, the last Resident Evil movie, which, you know, I'm not saying that because I'm not, I guess you could say it's a bad comparison, but that's what it gives me vibes at, because the last Resident Evil movie was just dog shit. But if you compare that as well as a Land of the Dead movie, for those who've seen it know exactly what I'm talking about, it's kind of like, I get that type of feel from it. It has a high budget look, but also look like it could be a B movie, like it could be ridiculous. But it does look like it takes itself serious, that it's not too ridiculous and crazy, like it's doing some Fast and Furious MCU type craziness, within the movie. It looks good. Like just how certain, like, it looked like it got some great action pieces up in there from the craziness. Like, I don't know how far, well, I don't know, like I said, I have not seen the first film, so I can't really like put it like, oh man, I'm excited for this. But as far as this trailer looks, it looks awesome. There's nothing really bad I can say about it. It doesn't really have too much dialogue. I think it may just, it has like two things. It has somebody saying block the entrance or something like that, or block the exit or something that was yelled. And then you had a little kid ask this guy, was he scared? And that was at the end of the trailer. So, and it's not really too much dialogue going on in this trailer. It's just really to kind of like showcase just the look of the film, the feel of it, and just kind of like more of just showing the, action set pieces, which look phenomenal. But it's like, in seeing this trailer, I had it on my list to watch. So I more than likely may end up watching this sometime soon, just to kind of get a feel for what I might be in for upon like this movie coming out. But it looks awesome, and depending on how things is going, it may end up, I don't know, this is like a movie that will probably be released in theaters if things get back up and running at at a decent time or whatever, because they do show some foreign films and stuff in theaters. Not a lot of people know about it, but they do that sometimes. So who knows? It may end up being like sent straight to DVD as far as like us in the US, or they probably might give it like a limited theatrical release if things are up and running by the time it wants to like come out. So hey, who knows? But I really did like it. I really did. Now, with that out the way, let's go ahead and jump right into new to rent on or stream. Now, so these are the digital releases. I'm going to say it first, and then I'm going to be talking about the physical releases. So for digital today is Like a Boss, The Turning, Gretel and Hansel, IP Man for the finale. And for physical releases, it's Little Women, which I'm going to do a review on this podcast. Doolittle, which I already got a review out, so go ahead and check that out on my channel. And Cats, a movie that I am really kind of debating on whether I want to subject myself to watching that. Now, given I may not like view it as other people, I may not look at it and be like, this is just a heaping pile of shit. I probably might end up like, yeah, it was decent. It wasn't, I didn't hate it, and that's how I feel with like a lot of movies that people hate. So, but still in the same sense, I'm not into musicals like that. Some of them do surprise me, like Rocket Man and what The Greatest Showman. I really did appreciate those. But very few musical type movies like that really kind of like entice me. And because people then say it's just dog shit and that it's just musical after musical after musical, like song after song after song after song, it doesn't really get me to want to actually watch it. So that you may not end up ever finding a review of that on my channel. So yeah, but those are the movies that are coming out for digital release, and those are the movies that are coming out for physical release. Now, same kind of thing that's happening for digital, but I wanted to give it its own little shine, is that Trolls World Tour this Friday is coming out for home premiere. As we all know, through everything that's happening on the to the world right now, it's certain movies are being pulled from release dates and all this stuff, and just hanging up there in the ether or giving new release dates later on down the line or a year from now, blah, blah, blah. So Universal decided to, the same day that Trolls World Tour would be in theaters, to release it on digital for rent for $20, just like Emma, The Hunt, Invisible Man, and a few other movies were, released on digital, like very early to rent for $20, and to do it that way. And I'm not going to get too much into it because it's kind of old news that Universal did this without really telling the theaters. Even though they're going through all the stuff, the, movie theaters still had contact with the movie studios. And when the movie studios are doing something like this, that they would tell the, movie theaters and all that stuff that this is happening, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And so now the movie theaters are mad, and Universal are going to get bit in the ass for this. But as it stands, Trolls World Tour is still coming out this week. You see advertisements all over the place for it. And that's really kind of like the only real new movie that's coming out this week, big budgeted, as far as like if you want to call it like a box office type movie or whatever. I don't know how much it's going to do when it comes to just like making money. Maybe this was like a poor decision. Maybe they could have like pulled it from its release date, or actually just said that like, yo, since this is happening, we're going to take it from, like being released in theaters, since it can't be released in theaters, and we're just going to put it out on digital. Are you okay with this? Saying that to the movie theaters and, worked out some type of deal and everything else to where it's like the movie theaters like, okay, cool, whatever. But in any case, it's coming out. So if you have a child that is in love with movies like this, especially the first Trolls movie, and I believe they got a series on Netflix right now that they can watch, this will be kind of something to, go ahead and rent and just chill and watch it with them. And, while we're all stuck inside the crib, so. But yeah, that is everything new to rent on the stream. And so with that out the way, let's go ahead and jump into a movie review. Now, Little Women is a movie that came out last year, and yeah, I'm just now reviewing it. So, this movie, honestly, I didn't know what to really expect going into it. Certain movies that don't really catch my appeal, I still kind of check it out just to see if there is something to gather, something to like about it by the end of my viewing of it. And I just gotta say, it's a pretty decent film. Pretty decent. But before I get into everything, just how I really felt, the acting straight off the bat is really good. From Saoirse Ronan, I'm hoping that I'm saying her name right, to Laura Dern, to Emma Watson, Timothy Chalamet, to Florence Pugh. Now, disclaimer, I am kind of in love with Florence Pugh right now, and it's not just because she's beautiful, but because she is a phenomenal actress. So I mean, forgive me if I'm biased, but but in any case, I just wanted to put that out there. But I feel like the story mainly should have focused on Joe's story. That's the main character played by Saoirse Ronan. Because in trying to balance all the other characters' stories, it loses sight of her story, and that's the story that like everything started off with, and then everything ended off with. And the story I felt was the more interesting story to dive into. And that's where it starts to fall apart a bit. The balance of characters in the storyline, sometimes it works, but other times it didn't. And I guess that's the trouble that you run into when you come with like a story that has a bunch of characters and you only have a certain amount of time to tell their stories and stuff. That's why TV series work so well when telling multiple stories within a whole season or the whole series. But the main kind of like negative about this movie was the time jumps. When I first watched the movie, I didn't really know that it was going back and forth in time. I just thought it was going forward in time and all this stuff until certain parts it was like, oh, maybe that's happened at a different time. But that was just kind of like a huge negative. Like the time jumps was undistinguishable. From past to present. They did a bad job of just displaying that, and it just was like completely confusing upon watching it. Like it's certain details that tell past and present, but it wasn't seen by me, so I'm just sitting there like, okay, I'm not getting this. Okay, what's going on? And that was just a major flaw of this movie, was just the past present type of sense. I mean, they don't have to say that like this happened in this year, that happened in that year, but at least give some type of notion or something that this is happening in the past, this is happening in the present, this, and just let us know, because it got really, really confusing. But just overall, this movie is very lighthearted. You can find a lot of enjoyment out of it. The costume design and just the production of the whole film, the overall look of it was just incredible. And you get a sense of that it is taking place within the time period that it is taking place in. The cinematography is off the chain. The movie looks beautiful. And for me, I guess you could say the one thing that I kind of judge movies on, if it has a rewatchable type of feel. And for this movie, it really doesn't for me. Like, I did enjoy a lot of aspects of the movie, but overall as a movie, it just didn't really get me by the end of me watching it. I've just felt so much wrong with it, even though it does have a lot to like about it. But when it comes down to it, it is a miss for me. It is a movie that I would recommend to certain people, but just it lost me with the whole confusion of just past present type stuff. That was just a major flaw to me, and just kind of like just took me out the movie, because I'm like, what's going on here and there and everywhere. But in any case, that is my review for Little Women. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about on today's podcast is the 5-year period used in Avengers Endgame. Now, as we all know, which quite few of you already know about it, because I mean the movie made like $2 billion in the box office, 350 million the first weekend that it opened. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of us seen it already, or at least by now. I mean, you got Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, there's no excuse. But in any case, so there was a 5-year period used in Avengers Endgame, and I thought about this before. It's like, are they going to utilize it? I mean, this would be a perfect time to utilize it. I mean, they more than likely have all their stuff, eggs in the basket, or, whatever analogy you want to put. They have everything planned out. And it's kind of like, will they just, use that? Because you got to think that at that time period, half of the world is gone. Half of the world just disappeared, whatever. And so you're going to have a lot of, places not guarded like it should. Police stations they're going to be very understaffed. You're going to have, people not being able to get the help that they're trying to get. So there is a lot of chaos and all this stuff running wild in like on Earth, and as well as other planets that are, kind of like civilized like we are, or just well far technologically advanced. There's gonna be a lot of chaos, and there's gonna be a lot of people needing to, take hold of this chaos, and it's like this would be a great time to utilize that. Now, I don't know how you would be able to utilize it. I know you don't want to spend too much time within the past and all that stuff, but you can utilize certain storylines. Certain heroes were born within that 5-year period. Maybe have a series of maybe Shang-Chi. Part of his story was that happened within the 5-year period. Or certain other characters was born just completely out of it. Maybe I ain't gonna say the X-Men, but Fantastic Four was maybe their story could relate to the 5-year period where all this stuff was happening and blah, blah, blah. You could tell a lot of stories, not even just movies, but just the TV series that they're going to be putting on Netflix and all that stuff. Maybe that could take place within the 5-year period or, just stuff like that. There is a lot of stuff to just utilize, and I would just have a ball with it. I would even make a series revolving around just how life was within the 5-year period. I don't know, and you could put whatever major hero you want to put up in there, or you could just put some low level type heroes that no one has heard about or something like that within that series, and just maybe just have it like the new Earth's patrol or something like that, where they're just going in random states and stuff, and they're just trying to restructure some type of law enforcement, some type of government to keep people, taken care of, because there is a lot of criminals that will be born within that 5-year period through all this chaos. So it's a lot of stories that could be told. Now, will they utilize it a lot? Probably not. Will they utilize it a little bit? I believe that they will. I really believe that they will. When it comes down to it, I'm not saying that the X-Men could be born out of this, because they probably have a better way of introducing the X-Men within it. But, as far as Ghost Rider, they want to reboot him. He literally could, be developed. Now, I know he got introduced up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., however you like it about, whatever, if you hated or loved the show or whatever, had Ghost Rider up in there, and I believe it is canon. It's canon because they've mentioned Thor, Iron Man, and all that stuff, and Coulson was a part of there. Even Nick Fury made a guest appearance on there. I don't know if he made more, because I think I kind of stopped watching it during the second season, and that was me catching up. So when it came down to it, I don't know, all was went down up in there, but as far as Ghost Rider was introduced up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but maybe they want to introduce another Ghost Rider. Maybe, within that 5-year period, something happened to where he was born out of that chaos. There is a lot to do with it, and I feel like they would be really missing something if they don't utilize it. I mean, you just gotta think, your imagination can run wild. People who are really into comic books and stuff like that, and really have a vast knowledge of the lore of just different characters that we know little about, or you may not know anything about. This will be a good time to introduce them, have just stories. I feel like they're going to basically utilize that 5-year period within certain stories. Maybe even Spider-Man is going to come up. Probably not too much, but yeah, I think within the next Avengers movie, probably not as much as everything that happened in Endgame, but that 5-year period is probably going to come up through the people that experienced it, like Hawkeye. Maybe what he went through may play a major role within the Hawkeye series that they're doing. Maybe he's, regardless of how everything went back to normal, he still more than likely fucked up in the head. For 5 years, he thought his family was gone, and there was no help, no hope of getting them back. So he went on a killing spree, just killing people. All the carnage that he's seen, it's going to have an effect on him. It's probably going to have a post-traumatic stress on his character, and would inevitably lead to him just not being part of the life, or just his death because of just him, of what he witnessed. So I feel like that will be really interesting stories coming out of it that they should utilize, going with new characters or just with characters that experience within that was there within that time period and whatnot. And yeah, I think it would be really, really, really interesting. Well, they actually go forth and use it just a little bit, I believe. But with that said, that concludes this episode of the Take One Podcast. I'd like, thank you guys for joining me. That, like I said, this wasn't going to be a long episode or whatever. 20 minutes, all that I can give you for today. And if you haven't checked out the episode 140, go ahead and check it out. It's up. Everything I was talking on there about WrestleMania, the new release dates, and the trouble that's going on with AMC right now, which is something that I hope, isn't going to like take them down and have them closed permanently. But I have all my thoughts on there, so go ahead and check that out. Plus, I got a new review for the movie The Lodge that came out in February. It's up on my channel right now. You can go ahead and check that out. And I will have more videos out this week, so go ahead and subscribe and do everything else that you need to stay in tune to everything that's going on this channel. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell, make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.